I'm trying to, I'm teaching from home today because I have two sick family members. So it's a little bit awkward trying to get, this thing kicked off. The office have already got everything good to go. All right, so let's try this again. And I'll just go ahead and rewind it. It's only about 10 seconds.
Welcome back to Move It. Next, we head to Barcelona, Spain to take a look at a technology as unique as the products it helps to distribute.
In Spanish, the name desigual means exceptional, unique, or unequal. And that's a pretty good description of the products this Spanish apparel company creates. Desigual's clothes and accessories are geared to trendy 20-somethings with bright colors and bold designs. The company's distribution center in Barcelona makes its own fashion statement and is capable of processing a whopping 22 million garments each year. This is the only major distribution facility for the company, so it has to be efficient to reach all of its customers around the world. Desigual selected Schaefer Systems to design automation here that is tailor-made for its product mix. The systems can store an inventory of some 3 million garments, and orders can definitely be processed with style using a one-of-a-kind design for picking and sorting orders.
Sorry about this thing stopping. My wife and I are both teaching, and I leave it stick.
Boxes of clothing arrive from a satellite storage facility nearby. The boxes are placed onto plastic trays so they can ride easily on conveyors. From here, the cartons move to this large automated storage and retrieval system that has rows of some 90,000 holding positions. These cranes fetch the trays in their boxes and place them into the slots until needed. Each year, Desigual comes up with two distinct fashion collections. One covers spring and summer, and the other is the autumn-winter collection. So there are always two huge pushes to get products out the door in time for the debut of the collections. Clothing orders that are part of the initial release of the collection are appropriately known as initials. Then once they begin to sell, the facility shifts gears and begins shipping smaller orders of garments to replace those that are sold, which are known as repeats. Since the volumes needed vary greatly with each process, Desigual wanted a very flexible, automated system that could push out the required quantities for each day with high accuracy and with fewer workers. And this is where things get very interesting. The Schaefer Systems design centers on this large sortation unit that, in effect, does both picking and sorting of orders. Let me explain what this means. Products needed for orders are retrieved from the large storage system. Conveyors carry them to workstations, where employees remove the garments from the cartons for induction into the sorter. This system uses motion sensors to help workers keep track of how many items to remove from each carton, based on the number required for current orders. The system registers each hand movement and counts down the number still needed. This design allows just a few workers to select 3,600 pieces an hour from about 900 source boxes. The selected items next head to the sorter, where conveyors time their placement onto 70 moving trays that ring around in a circle at the top of the sorter. Scanners tell the software that manages the process which item was placed onto which tray. The software then remembers that placement and determines which order needs that item. This type of sorting equipment is known as a split sorter, or more commonly, a bomb-bay sorter. But here, only fashion is the bomb. Just like in a military airplane, doors in the bottom of the tray split open when the product reaches an assigned position. Bombs away! Now here's where this system becomes unique. 54 holding bins are located between the bomb bay doors and order cartons riding below on conveyors, strategically positioned at drop zones below the bins. The holding bins act as a secondary sort system, gathering items from various trays above. Then, at the precise moment, doors on the bins release and the items fall into the waiting cartons. The The cartons then move on to other positions below other holding bins to gather more garments. This design allows a huge amount of flexibility as the system actually picks the items for an order as it sorts them. When it finishes making its rounds, the carton is
It's good for it has
Go ahead.
visibility. I mean, the operator can be like really look what he's doing.
Yeah, this one, the improved safety features, of course, you look above the operator's head. If something falls off that pallet, there's a little bit of protection there. But the new and improved forklifts have wireless cameras at the top of the cage, and it lets them be able to see the shelf a lot clearer that they're going to put that on. And they'll look to see if the product's settled, if it's still moving or whatever when they pull it off. So they are coming up with more safety features to try to guard from operators getting injured. There are some accidents on these forklifts. That's probably the most dangerous piece of equipment in the building. But most of the time they happen when they're a loader going into a trailer or pulling stuff out of a trailer. That's the most dangerous spot, is right there at the dock. But I've seen these in a environment where you're in a refrigerated warehouse and they have ammonia that they use for coolant. And these pipes with ammonia run up along the ceiling. And these high lifting stand-up counterbalance forklifts, if the operator isn't safety conscious and they got a loaded pallet with more stuff than it's supposed to have, they've actually bumped into those pipes. You have a matter of seconds to clear that warehouse out if you got an ammonia leak. I mean, it just dissolves your lungs. It's bad, bad news. So
You're saying it'll kill you?
yes, yes. They have to have a fire department that has special equipment that, because when that ammonia gets loose, it can kill everybody in that neighborhood. So they have to have special equipment at that fire station that's around this refrigeration storage stuff. And you have to have operators that have OSHA certification, and they got to be recertified like every 3 to 6 months. It's that dangerous. Most of the times they don't put anything on the shelving on the top shelf where the pipeline runs, so the people aren't in line with the pipe. But again, people will drive that forklift with the load up and they will back into that pipe or drive along and bump into the pipe because they didn't bring it down to the floor before they moved the fork truck away from the shelf. So safety is job one. If somebody's saying, hey, we got a truck that leaves in 5 minutes and it takes you 10 minutes to get that pallet there safe, so what? That truck's going to be late. Somebody's going home to their family that night. Who cares? But yeah, this is a stand-up counterbalance lift truck. Okay.
But you could be fired for your negligence, like you were saying, if they go home early and something happens, like an accident.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you're involved in an accident in the industry, the first thing they do is urinalysis, make sure that you're sober. And then they do a full investigation. If there's injuries or there's damage to other equipment, you could be found at fault and have to pay out of pocket the damage that you did to the vehicle or the racking system or whatever. There's a grace period for training and all that kind of stuff, but they really do want you to be responsible for operating safely. Behind this person, there's somebody with one of those riding or walking pallet jacks. So it's a very, you have to be alert and you have to be aware of your surroundings inside this warehouse. And as a supervisor, which is what we're training you to be, you can be a forklift operator at entry level, but we're training you how to work with your workforce to keep them safety focused. Production will come, but you got to take care of your workforce and make sure that they're motivated, the morale's up, and that they're operating in a safe environment. And so only put your most safety conscious operators in those situations where they're especially using this piece of equipment. The other ones, that could be like a level 1, I've only been doing it for 6 months or so. This is where you want to put somebody that's been driving one of these forklifts for a year or more. Okay, let's see if I get this thing. Show us our next one. What's this one?
Forklift.
Forklift.
I gave that one away, didn't I? Yeah, it is a forklift. Everything we've showed so far could be described as a forklift or a fork truck. But this one, are you standing or are you sitting?
This
Sitting.
is
Sitting.
And you notice that it has a buttload of weight back here.
Mhm.
I've seen this bumper back here stick out about 2 feet more where they put another 2,000 pound weight on it because they were going to use this lift to go up into like the 3rd or 4th shelf. And so standing up or sitting down, it still has the propensity to tip, and they've got the cage over the top to make sure you don't get stuff falling on your head. But this is for folks that are, you're moving from one end to a warehouse to another. There's a lot of distance you travel with these forks. And so setting down just makes the day go a little less stressful. And most of the time you're riding with the forks down to move something from one place to the other. So you got a better line of sight when you're setting down. You still can't see around a pallet. You got to be able to look over the top of it or on the sides. And most warehouses have mirrors and different types of safety devices where you can see when you come to an end of an aisle if there's somebody coming in or going across, and you would yield to that vehicle that's in front of you. So that is a set down counterbalance.
Counterbalance, yeah.
Are these typically more expensive than the stand-up ones?
I think probably it's a wash there, but these are probably more common than the stand-up. The stand-up, again, is when you're in a narrow aisle normally. This one is a little wider. It's got a little bit more of a footprint, and it's, for people that are going to be sitting in that for 8 or 10 hours on a shift, it's a little more comfortable than standing up. In the narrow aisle, normally automation is taking care of a lot of the stuff. And so you may only be out there for a couple hours and then you come in and do something else. But I have, been in environments where people are standing for 10 and 12 hours and they'll stand up. It's no fun. What's this one?
And
Reach any forklift.
Okay. Narrow aisle lift truck. This one is because, of course, you're standing. I've mentioned that a couple times. That's the quickest way to figure out if it is a regular or narrow aisle. And if it's going to lift higher than like your shoulders, it's going to have counterbalance weight on it. So this one actually does have counterbalance weight, would be part of the full description of it. But when you're taking the test, they want to know if you can identify a stand up, a sit down, a counterbalance, and a narrow aisle. That's the 4 different types of trucks that you, looking at the pictures, you have. Normally they're going to ask a question like, if you're operating with narrower aisles, would you use a sit down forklift, a stand up narrow aisle forklift? I mean, it's a lot simpler when it comes to the way the questions are written. And if you took the quiz to chapter 3, you already see the type of quiz questions are going to be. What's this bad boy?
Heavy
counterbalance.
duty.
Heavy duty.
Okay,
Is
look
the
at
one with the special tires.
yes,
A
look at
pneumatic
this.
tire forklift.
Yeah.
Look at the tires. Inside a warehouse, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure the floor is level, that concrete floor is level. So there's
Yard
no
lifts.
grade or anything. And so the tires you see on all these other forklifts and pallet jacks there's no tread on them. They don't need traction because the weight that's on them will give them enough traction. There's no inclines that they have to go up. This is what's commonly referred to as a
Yard
yard
lift.
because it can be used outdoors.
Right.
Now, what do you think powers those forklifts that are indoors?
Electric
Electric,
and
Or
propane.
Propane,
propane, yep.
propane.
So the majority of them are electric. It's a lot cheaper than propane. And say you've got 30 forklifts, and if you had to recharge every one of those every shift with propane, the cost would be prohibitive. But propane forklifts are more powerful, and they have a heavier lift ability. But most of the time, the propanes are used when they're in a outdoor or in and out of operation. If it's only outdoors, like this yard lift could be classified as only outdoors.
It'd be
then you could
gas.
have a
Gas.
Yes, yep.
yeah, diesel or gas, because you don't have to worry about the exhaust fumes. And that is the most powerful forklift. It can do the most lift. It's got more torque for moving stuff. And so it's a small version, but that's the monster forklift there. And you just look at the tires, that immediately gives it away because it has to have traction to run around in a muddy parking lot and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
If you had a truck show up that had a low deck on the trailer and it couldn't back it into the dock, then you'd probably unload it out in the yard using some kind of a ramp system to get the product in. Okay, I gave away the answer to that one before you got to see it. We did the narrow aisle lift truck. I'm going the wrong way. What's this bad boy?
Sit down forklift.
That is a clamp,
Call a clamper.
I didn't
Oh,
see
clamp
that.
okay.
Call a
forklift.
clamper.
an accessory.
Yes. So
Specialized one.
it is a set down forklift. You can see that the guy is sitting down there. And you see that it's got tread on it. So you can say also that that's like a yard forklift too, right? Because it's got the tread. But what they're looking is to see if you can figure out that accessory that's connected to it. Instead of forks,
Lumps.
it picks it up by the sides.
Mhm.
And so there's several reasons that this would be used, like they're using it for washers and dryers here. And it could be that they don't ship those on a standard pallet. And that if it is the same type of shape boxes that it moves, that sometimes the clamp can give you more control over it, because now you don't have to worry about a washer or dryer falling off the pallet. This bad boy has got it.
Are those like padded or anything, or is anybody ever worried about damage?
Yeah, they have rubber padding on them, and
Okay.
normally there is some type of a like cardboard pallet at the bottom of it. And if you picked up 4, I think those might be dryers, they might be wash machines. Each one of those is going to weigh somewhere around 200 pounds. So that thing could probably lift 3 tons. So it's not anywhere near its weight capacity. But there's some things that looking at specialized equipment that like pick up barrels, and it looks like those plastic 6-pack things that you have around your cans, except it's chains and it's got rings that drop over the barrels, and then they can pick up 4 or 6 of these barrels. They have special attachments that actually let you put a sheet of paper as a pallet. So it's like just a divider saying, here's where one pallet begins, here's where the next one begins. But it's like a flat deck, and they put the paper on it, and then they put the load on it. And then wherever they're going with it, when they get there, where these flappers are on the side, there's actually one right in front of the operator that pushes that load, and that slip sheet is what they call those, off of that platform. And so then if you're loading like a container that's going to go overseas, that's how you would load it, because there wouldn't be any pallets in there. You're just going to put these slip sheets, and you're going to have that special design forklift that's going to just push that pallet load of product into the container. We got a picture one here coming up. I went the wrong way. So that's a carton
Clamp
clamp
truck.
truck. Okay, what's this bad boy?
stand
picker.
up order picker.
Order picker.
Yes. Now, this has 3 pallets on it. I mean, seldom would you see one that deep, but they're probably getting like their orders are like for 3 different places, like 3 different stores or something. But you can see that the operator has a harness, looks like over his shoulder, and he's connected to that machine. So say he picks something and it makes him lose his balance, he doesn't fall all the way to the ground. He just kind of dangles there. Some of them have some very elaborate harnesses that have bungee cords and stuff like that that let you move around, but they protect you from falling. So if I was going to pick something off of that 4th level of that shelf, that'd be pretty wicked trying to get taking that fall. But the way this works is the person can actually see the product, they're there standing with it, and then they can raise the forks up and put it on the pallet. It looks a little awkward. There's better ways to do it than this particular setup.
Right.
Okay, what's this bad boy?
Oh, I didn't see that one.
That would be a container forklift.
That is a good guess.
Side loader, no?
That's what it is. So if you notice, the operator's pointed this direction, and the forks are on the side. And if you count the forks, there's 4 of them up there, which they can move them to make them closer or farther apart. This would pick up the weight of the container, but containers have like 4 locks on them or 4 chains that come down and they lock it to the container, and that's how they pick them up. This is used for pulling stuff off of like a rail car or a flatbed truck that's outside, and then they can take the pallets into the warehouse. And it's a side loader, so they can like drive up alongside whatever the load is on the rail car or truck and pick it up that way. If it was a regular forklift, you wouldn't be able to get close enough. And this runs under the axles, the base of it does, of the truck, or it gets, there'll be like a pavement with rails cut into it for the rail car to come in. It'll roll under the rail car to pick up stuff off of it. So that's a side loader. When you see the 4 forks there, that's the big indicator that tells you that that's what that is. It's this bad boy.
That's a platform between the trailers to docks.
Dock plate.
That's a dock plate.
Yep.
This is one scary piece of equipment. This is some like Legos of logistics. And the dangerous part about this is it can actually move. It can slide. So when would you use it?
When you loading the truck and unloading the truck off a dock, pretty much.
Yeah. So say the truck comes in and it's 2 feet higher than the dock. You would like use this to bridge that height difference. And if it was like an outdoor open dock and there wasn't something that it could lock to, you're just backing up to like a porch. This is how they get the forklift on and off of there. And the real trick is having it secured to the dock and to the trailer using these chains and pins. It's not commonly used. They have other versions that are like a scissor jack that are hydraulic, where they can just put the forklift on it and it raises it up to the level of the trailer. The forklift goes in, picks up the stuff, it comes back out, and it takes it back down like an elevator. But this is the crude mechanical version of that bridging a gap. It's called a dock board. And I do believe that the ones that I'm showing you in this little exercise, those I've had reported back, and I remember from my version of taking the CLA, you will see these on the exam. Okay, what's this?
Conveyors.
Conveyor.
It is a conveyor, but you see this halo, this arch that goes over the
Banner of
conveyor?
some sort.
It's a
Conveyor
sorter.
packing system.
It's also a sorter. So We'll say things come in from a inbound door, they would go through these sorters, these different arches, and reading the label that's face up, it would scan how big the box is and where it's supposed to go in the warehouse. Or if it's getting loaded out of the warehouse, it'll tell it what dock to send it to. And then it goes down to like a fork in the road or several forks in the road, and this scanner will open or close the door to the conveyor to send that box into a different direction. And these are very sophisticated. We've seen in that earlier video, all the different sophisticated switches and doors and things that were on that conveyor, just to take the human lifting and moving element out of it. They can move a lot faster. It takes the human error out of it. When it's scanned, it tells it exactly where it goes. And they know, like if they're loading a truck, when it goes under that arch, they know how much space is still left on that trailer based on the boxes that go through there. And then it'll stop sending boxes to that door once it's met its cube or it's filled up that truck. They'll start sending boxes to the next available door.
Also, Mr. Yancey, those boxes sometimes have barcodes that help the scanner, is that correct?
Yeah, most of the time they'll have some kind of label. If it's outbound, it's going to have a label. If it's inbound, it'll have a barcode or some type of a label identifying where they want it in that warehouse. Okay, what's this bad boy?
It's hangout overhead conveyor.
Okay, that one was a horizontal conveyor. You know, it's just basically flat. They have vertical ones that are up and down. So think of that as a giant pop machine that has all the stuff loaded in it, and there's this like cage or wire setup where when you take one out, like you're at the bottom, this person's picking an order from the floor level. When you take one out, then the system says that they need to replenish that one cell of like batteries or whatever you just pulled out of there. They're calling it, I think it's called a vertical conveyor, but what they got here is the same. I think that was a mistake on my part. It's not a sorter conveyor, it's a vertical conveyor because stuff's coming up and down. So here's one that has like 4 questions about it. So you probably want to look in our textbook. And did anybody get their textbook? I mailed those out.
No.
I haven't gotten mine
I
yet.
did not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
What the? Okay. I'll check on that because they went out last Thursday. I sent some people pictures of me mailing them. So it went to our mail room at the college. I'll find out what happened there. I mean, we were back from spring break. It was last week. Okay, I'll find out what happened there. So we got.
That's a crane.
Crane.
It is.
Great.
It's a warehouse overhead crane.
Overhead, yeah.
That was there.
All right. If it moves and it has a boom on it, or a winch to where they can move left and right, and it's attached to something like that wall, it's actually a gantry crane.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
And so there, when you look at the textbook, it
Mr.
explains each of the different parts of this gantry crane. The
Mr. Yancey, I
yes,
apologize. The gantry, I think, I mistake like the ones that move separately, like independent, like the one used in the ports to hold containers.
I think.
No?
I think they have a version of that. I'm thinking we do have a picture of what you're talking about. But this is what they classify as a gantry crane.
Gantry, okay.
And it will, I think the term that you're looking for, this isn't a stationary crane. This will move up and down and left and right. So it moves up and down on this rail from one end of the building to the other. And it has an actual winch with the hook and everything that'll go left and right. So this is a gantry crane because it can pick up anything in that building anywhere it is. Now I have other ones that are portable that aren't connected to the wall like you're talking about. They are for like unloading cargo off of ships or off of rail cars and things of that nature. I think I have a picture of those. But this one you want to remember has the cross beam. I think they talk about the upright, and then they talk about the cradle for the actual winch itself. So when you get to this part in the textbook, it's got those different parts of it identified.
Is there a difference between a gantry and a girder?
I believe the girder would just be this piece here, and it wouldn't be able, the cross beam, and it wouldn't be able to move.
Okay.
Because that's what the girder is basically, is that big piece of I-beam steel.
Okay.
All right, so hopefully I got the other crane on here to clear that up. It's this bad boy.
That's an
Automatic forklift, well, narrow forklift,
You are right, sir. Who was that?
Martell.
I've been doing some check marks here when I hear voices, and so far we've got about 3 apiece. This is a automatic guided vehicle. In other words, it can be unmanned. Some of them can have a person in them or not, but you notice here that there is not a body in that driving it. Normally they don't have this. This is kind of like a first generation one, and this even has a standing platform for somebody to ride on it. Now they are just small enough to go under like a table, like a if you want to call it a like a bookshelf. They're short profiles. They look like a pallet, and so it runs under these things that have shelves on them, and then it picks it up like a forklift would. It has hydraulics that lift up the bookshelf that has different levels of product on it. And then it brings that bookshelf with product on it to the person who's picking the order. So instead of going around a warehouse to aisle 1, 2, 3, 500, when the order comes in, these automated vehicles go and bring the product to your station. And so like the first robot has the first 4 or 5 items on the list, and then it goes back to where it was stationed at in the warehouse. And the second one comes bringing that next part of your order. It reduces fatigue, and it gets if it is put on the shelf correctly, I mean, humans do that, then it takes a lot of human error out of it when that shelf brings that part of the order to be selected. I've seen those in Amazon, Walmart. There's the big retailers use them because they can have a lot of volume of different small items on that bookshelf that are related to each other. Say they had one that had health and beauty aid items on it. They could have shampoo, and they could have deodorant and all this stuff on one of those bookshelves or those sections of shelving. And then when that automated guided vehicle goes and gets it, they can pick all of these different single items for a single order from just one of those robots bringing it to them.
So even though it's automated, is there somebody behind the scenes that's actually controlling it with a remote, or is it they just dial in basically like the aisle and the spot, and it will just automatically drive there, grab it, and then drive it back to its final destination?
Right.
They're either a painted line that a laser follows. That's what's usually the go-to, because then they could change the direction. They just move the painted line to a different direction. But now with the advent of G5, they can have GPS. And so they have an assigned spot. Let's say it's in the lower left part of the warehouse where all these are parked. When they get the order that comes in, they know where in the warehouse to go to find that particular item. And so this platform goes there, picks up the shelf and brings it to them. using GPS. And they have motion sensors where they can detect if a person or another machine is in its path. They're not very fast because of safety. They don't want them crashing into each other and the people. So it's efficient, but they have to bring a large volume of stuff in when they come in to make it worthwhile. So yeah, they have the first generation was rail, where it just ran on the same track and came around, you know, you caught it on your loop. And then it went to painted, laser guided, following a laser on some type of a tape or paint on the floor. And now they're GPS, where it's wireless and they can send them anywhere.
Cool.
Okay, so that was our activity for chapter 3. And in a recording that I have available to you that I'll post with this one, there is a lecture where we actually go through the textbook. I just thought, since you folks had already read it and a lot of you got the assignment done, that when we come out here to meet, we do fun stuff. Okay, so let's go on to any questions about chapter 3, material handling. There is a chunk of questions on that CLA from this chapter. So, I mean, they ask about a lot of this different type of material handling equipment.
Is the practice test similar to the test?
Yeah, what I get feedback from folks who go take them is that.
I want to thank you for joining us today.
Sorry, I don't know what the heck that is. That's not what I wanted. Let's see. That's what I wanted.
You want a copy of that, by the way? I took that last night or yesterday.
Me too.
Okay, I don't see them. I mean, if I go to your
Opus Works.
yeah, I can open your file and see what you've done, but that's for your test taking pleasure. And what I get for feedback from the folks who took it, they say I got a 96 on the practice one, and when I took the real one, I got a 96. So, I mean,
So my question is, can you retake the practice more than once?
Oh, yeah. When I think test number 4 is what you put in, and then the password is LOGM 127. When you want to retake it, you just go test number 4, LOGM, like you're taking it the first time. And there's another box that says retest. You put the same password, LOGM 127. You can take it as many times you want.
Do we have to get 100%?
No, no. Passing the CLA
It's 75.
Well, do we have to get 100% in order to pass your class with an A automatically?
No. If you got a 75 on the CLA, you got the certification. If you got a 76 on the CLP, you got the certification. That's what I'm looking for, is a certification. If you got a 90, I just say, damn.
I got a 98, so if I go take the certification, I mean, I still have to finish all my assignments, correct?
Well, and I put this forward, the main purpose of this course is not to have you do busy work. This is all reinforcement for folks that may not get the concept, so they get exposed to more different resources. But you get through the CLA and the CLT, you got an A.
Really? So I can actually go take those like today or tomorrow, like right now? Because to me, this
They
is
have to
all.
be 2 weeks apart. And
Okay.
at 4 o'clock this morning, I turned in the no-shows, and I think we had from our class only 2. Other classes I wish were that good, but I had to wait until midnight last night to tell MSSC and Proctor U and the testing center
Okay,
who
so
my
like 3
students
days.
were. Yeah.
Okay.
If I sent somebody in there that dropped the course, they would actually be charged for the test. And so I have to wait until I get people who aren't going to take the course out of the way, and then say, okay, here's who I have left, and they all need to test. So that got sent at 4 a.m., which means probably by tomorrow you could go take it if you wanted to.
Perfect. Thank you.
And
still have enough time to
as far
sign
as
up for
Proctor U, if you've decided you want to take it at home, that's available to you too after like tomorrow. So you can go to proctoru.com Tell them that you want because now they're going to add that test in there. Before you didn't see it. What I sent them at 4 a.m. was, hey, Proctor U, I've got this person who is in my class. They will need the CLA and the CLT. And so they will load those tests in Proctor U for you to take them.
If you're already scheduled for those, would you have to go in and cancel them?
No. If you decide instead of going to Lawrence or downtown or Muncie, wherever you're going to, that you'd rather take it at home, just go out to Proctor U and make the appointment.
Awesome.
Okay.
They don't charge you for not showing up, for having a plan B. They don't charge you for that.
So we got to go up there physically and let them know that we want to take it at home.
No. That's why I say you go to proctoru.com.
Okay.
After tomorrow, you'll be able to see the CLA, and you say, I want to take that test, and then you just tell them when you want to take it.
Okay.
They do a check to see if because you're going to be on camera when you're taking the test. They don't want your smart cousin coming over and feeding you the answers. So when you take the test, when you register, they'll say do equipment test. And then once you get a thumbs up for that, then they give you a receipt that you got it scheduled. And the folks that have taken it from Proctor U have all had said, yay, I had my bathrobe on and I was comfortable. And I took it in 20 minutes and was back to doing something else. I didn't have to get in the car and drive somewhere and stress out. Why? I mean, you think you're applying for like a passport or something when you go to the test center. Has anybody ever went in there to a test center?
Yeah.
Take all the stuff out of your pockets, your wallet, everything. You put it in a locker that they issue a key for. And when you come out, they frisk you and take all your scrap paper and they issue you the pencil or whatever to take the notes with. I mean, I felt like I was going through customs or something.
Mm-mm.
But when you're at home, it's a more relaxed atmosphere.
Perfect.
So what was the exercise we just did together?
That was chapter 3. We were doing identifying different types of material handling equipment.
Right. And so you're gonna put in the grade for us and whatnot.
Yeah, for the video we already did for chapter 3. What's coming up is a 2-minute video that you'll get 25 points for chapter 4. Any other questions on chapter 3 or Proctor U?
No.
Is it, do we still have time to sign up for the exams?
Yes, absolutely. I put it on there for week 1 and week 2, just in case you wanted to go to a campus, you get a seat, because week 4, everybody has midterms. And that's when I want you to take it, is week 4 or week 5. So you've had a chance to go through all these chapters with us. If you've already did the work and you've already took the practice exam, I'm not holding you back. You can go ahead and go take it. The same with the CLT. I would just caution you that if you haven't taken the pre-test and you fail it, you got to pay $65 to take it for a second time. And you can't even get to the CLT, which is the money maker, unless you pass the CLA. So CLA, entry level, safety, team member, that's what level it's written for. The CLT is mid-level management. And so that's the one you want, the CLT, to say, hey, look, I'm certified to be mid-level management. But to get to it, you have to show that you actually see the big picture about warehouse operations and safety and transportation and shipping and all that. So,
And then are we getting our points for taking the pre-tests and then sending you the screenshot of our results through OpusWorks?
the pre-test has no point value. The pre-test is for your, I mean, you can take it 100 times if you want. I just want you to do that for your own, confidence building, to say, okay, now I'm ready to go take the real deal, because it doesn't cost anything. You can take it as many times as you want. The quizzes that I'm looking for, the scores that I'm looking for, are for each one of these modules or chapters that are in your textbook. You're going to take a quiz out of OpusWorks after you watch a you go through a short PowerPoint, narrated PowerPoint. And those range from 28 points, I think is the biggest one, to like 9 points is the smallest.
Yep, that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, there's 9 of those for the CLA. I want you to go through those before you go take the test, because the questions come from those quizzes. Even if you took the practice test, seeing it by after you go through the material and then taking the quiz, it sticks. It stays with you more. And there's nothing that says you can't retake those practice quizzes, you know, those for this chapters 1 through 9. If you got less than an 80, I actually put in the remarks, retake it until you get above 80. Because then you can have a bad question and still you're going to score at least 75 in all the different areas. It's an average of all the chapters is where you get your score. So you can have a bad chapter. You can't have 3 bad chapters. You won't get through it. So that's why I want you to get at least 80% on everything. If you get 100, what happens?
You pass this class and
That's true.
don't have
But I
to
actually
finish.
give you an extra point. Have you noticed that? If it was only 20 points possible and you got 100, I write 100, and then you get 21 instead of 20.
Yeah.
So that's so I can look at our grade book at one glance and say, okay, this student has got 100 on everything they've taken, and I can say that one's going to pass. If I tell you that you need to retake it, that sends me a reminder to go back and check that later. That's somebody will say, hey, remember when I told you you need to retake chapter 3 and 5 and 7? Do that before you go down and take the quiz or the actual exam, because I want you to pass it. We have like a 96% pass rate. So this first one, it's just do what we're going through, you're going to be fine. The second one, people get intimidated by it, and half the class doesn't take it. They already paid for it, but they go, oh, I'm a business student, I don't need it. Yeah, you need it. It's a certification that says you're ready for mid-level management. So yeah, you need it. And those that do, the half that do, 80% of them pass it. So the folks that have done the material have critical thinking skills, have some maturity, worked in the area or worked in management or work. They don't really sweat it as much as somebody that's right out of high school, never have worked in the industry. They have to really crack the book and exercise critical thinking to get through the CLT. Anybody that's taken any of those tests the second time have passed it. So if I did have that, 5% that didn't pass the CLA, they took it the second time, they did. The 80% that passed the CLT, the 20% took it again, they passed it. So it's doable and it's very valuable. So jump on that ride. Okay. Here goes 25 points in 2 minutes. Oh, I guess I'll let you see it. Let's try this. If I got the right screen up, I think so. You can see
Yeah,
it.
you're good. We can see it.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if you can hear it. This is kind of wacky here. Here we go.
We can't hear it. I can't hear it.
Yeah, I can't hear it either.
I mean, me
But can
either.
I-
Serious injury while on the job. They're in
That's
danger of
better.
struck, cut, burned, blinded, and electrocuted. The hazards they face range from crushing machine parts to caustic substances to falling objects. But despite these threats, most workers remain safe. Often it's because they use personal protective equipment. What is PPE? It's anything that you wear to prevent or minimize injuries. It can be as simple as a hard hat, safety glasses, or a pair of gloves. But personal protective equipment can only prevent injuries if you use and maintain it properly. Unfortunately, not everybody does. Even with all the protection that's available, Occupational Safety and Health Administration statistics show that on-the-job injuries are still widespread. For example, OSHA estimates that 2,500 eye injuries occur in the workplace every day. Crippling injuries have also reached alarming proportions. Each year, employees experience more than 320,000 hand injuries,
70,000 head injuries, and 110,000 foot injuries. These injuries typically occur for two reasons. Either the injured worker's PPE didn't provide the needed level of protection, or the PPE that was available wasn't being used.
Okay, that was easy. I'll get this thing to come out of here.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for joining us today.
Okay, thanks.
Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yeah, wrong.
And today,
We did this one. He's trying to get out of YouTube now. Okay. That one. Okay. So this is the third video. Let's go ahead. Let's knock this out. I'm going to try to play it at a little faster speed so we can get through it quicker.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average injury and illness rate in the warehousing and storage industry is 5 per 100 workers. This equates to tens of thousands of cases yearly. When it comes to warehouse safety, you have to be proactive and always determine ways to mitigate risks and injuries in your facility. Here are 10 effective methods to improve health and safety in your facility. Slips, trips, and falls are among the leading causes of injuries in general industry. Fortunately, they are almost always avoidable with good housekeeping practices. Avoid accumulation of trash, dust, and loose debris in walking areas. Frequent housekeeping and cleaning up spills when they occur is essential to avoid slips. Floors, passageways, aisles, and egress paths should be clean and clear of debris, obstructions, and clutter. At doorways and in high traffic areas, consider installing walk-off mats to avoid slipping, especially in inclement weather. Having an organized warehouse is also important. Ensure adequate shelving is installed and can support the weight of the stored material. Ensure aisles have proper overhead clearance to avoid head injuries. Materials should be stored flush with the shelving and not protrude into the walking areas. When heavy or bulky items must be handled manually, store these items at waist level. This will reduce the possibility of overexertion. Secure items such as ladders that could fall, causing a struck-by injury. Fire hazards are frequently encountered in facilities. Improper stored flammable and combustible liquids, open ignition sources, and other hazards should be prevented. Avoid accumulation of items that can cause fires. Store flammables in fire lockers. Dispose of all combustible items in a metal container positioned far away from any ignition sources. Ensure doorways and exits are free of obstructions. Conduct monthly inspection of fire protection systems such as fire extinguishers, pull stations, and emergency lights. Some types of injuries occur more frequently than others. For instance, slips, trips, and falls occur more frequently in general industry. According to OSHA, they cause 15% of all accidental deaths. 1 in 6 of all lost time incidents involve slips, trips, and falls. This causes an average of 11 days away from work. You can mitigate these types of accidents by conducting inspections of your facility, performing detailed investigations for accidents and near misses. Also, retraining employees when conditions and work environment changes. Power tools and equipment account for over 400,000 injuries yearly. Most of these injuries are avoidable when safe work practices are followed. Some safe practices include providing training to workers, inspecting tools before each use, wearing proper PPE when using tools, observing warning signs, verifying machine guards are in place, and repairing defective equipment. All of these steps shared would be pointless if there was no formal process to assess their effectiveness. This could be daily, weekly, or monthly. Always follow the simple concept of plan, do, check, act. To stay ahead of any potential hazard, have a checklist at hand and go over each inspection task thoroughly. Doing so will help to avoid overlooking potential hazards that may exist. An important aspect that is often overlooked is employee training. Training should be one of the first items covered with new hires before working in a facility. Employees should be trained on safe work practices, PPE required for each activity, and how to identify unsafe conditions. It is no use having a detailed set of standards and rules if your employees have little or no knowledge of them. Using safety standards during training sessions is great, but they must be incorporated into daily activities for them to be effective. That means training and informing employees of these standards frequently. Just as importantly, mark potential hazards with highly visible signs and labels. These signs serve the same purpose as safety precautions in that they are efficient reminders. If you're changing a protocol, update the signage as soon as possible to keep staff abreast of the update in time. Post all safety expectations clearly and in close proximity to the equipment they relate to. These signs serve as a constant visual reminder of inherent dangers and necessary safety precautions to keep injury at bay. Ensuring safety in your warehouse is everyone's responsibility. We all have a role to play. Go over any potential hazards, new protocols, or non-routine tasks during weekly meetings. Take an extra step and recognize and reward behaviors that emphasize safety as a priority. This would further encourage employees to follow safe work practices, establish safe habits, and promote a safety culture. Follow these 10 basic steps to keep your workers safe and healthy in their working environment. This video is brought to you by the Happen Group, making safety happen.
All righty.
The little things in life are easy to take for granted, like getting away from the kids for grown-up time.
Okay, that was a quick 75 points for 3 videos. We just got a couple questions I wanted to, push through here just to reinforce. And so for the principal safety video, we watched 2 different ones there. It's talking about the injury rate for workers. There was an actual number on that one. They said, anybody write it down or anybody remember?
Is it 9,000?
No, there's a rate, it's a percentage. It's
I
like
think it was 15%, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
15%.
Okay. And what are leading causes for injuries in general industry?
Slips and
Slip
falls.
and falls.
Slips, falls, and trips.
Yeah. Has anybody been hurt at work? Did they fell down or slipped at work?
I mean, I didn't slip and fall, but I didn't complain about it.
Yeah, I have.
I
I
mean,
have as well.
and it's usually because somebody else left something where it's not supposed to be, or you get hit from the back or something, right?
Right.
It was because I messed up my cut on my miter and I had to go backwards down a ladder and I missed the last 2 steps.
Ouch. Ouch. No
I've
fun.
never slipped and fell at work, but I have tripped over my grandma's dishwasher before.
There you go.
No.
I had a slip on Labor Day and cut my finger off. They had to sew it back on. Now I can't give my salute finger, you know, it kind of doesn't get all the way straight. So I'm not really aggressively saying the F you. I'm like, maybe. You know. It made me a kinder, gentle person. Okay, so let's look at the next set of questions. And I think they were pretty general for that video. It says, what are some examples of personal protective equipment?
Hard hats,
Hard
gloves,
hats,
steel toe
gloves,
shoes.
Safety goggles?
Yeah, safety glasses.
Respirators,
respirators,
Oh.
ear
plugs.
earplugs or mufflers.
Hearing protection.
Hearing protection. Probably the most common PPE is what?
No, the boots.
The boots.
Yeah.
Everybody's thinking mask now because, I mean, even if you're not out on a shop floor, you could be just shopping and everybody's wearing that PPE, right? But they do ask that on the quiz and it is boots. Let's see. I think we covered that. You guys have hit that.
I think on the CLA, if that's what it's called, it says steel-toed shoes is the answer, by the way. It doesn't say boots.
Yes. Yeah, but the other ones are going to be like eyeglasses, hearing protection, gloves. So it's your shoes is what they're looking for there. You're right. Okay.
Thank you, Leslie.
Let me get this. I wanted to open up what I sent you, the handout. And it gets you examples of the most asked questions are on these couple of examples here. Let me see if I can get this full page for me. There we go. All right, so I magnify this. Let me do this at 200%. Okay, so these are from chapters 4 and 5, and there is a multitude of questions that come from these examples that I've got in this handout for you. So these are the different colors of, and normally if I've got you in a face-to-face class, I divide the class into 3 groups, and each of the groups comes up with a presentation, an example of 1/3 of this handout. And so one group will be doing these different colors that are for signage within a manufacturing warehouse. So red, it's pretty evident that it has to do with fire equipment, exit signs, panic buttons. That was easy, or whatever the one is for staples. Containers for flammable materials and signs for hazardous areas. So there'll be questions that are asking you what color sign would tell you the exit, or it'll say what color is sign for information, or what color is a tripping area? How is it put together? The one that is on all of them is the last one on here. So orange is like a warning for hazardous moving parts from machines and things of that nature that can crush you or electrocute you. Yellow, you normally have like a striped walkway for pedestrians or a crosswalk or something. And for people, they try to make sure that there's a quarantine or corridor for pedestrian only. And blue is for information, for safety, the bulletin boards. This one gets kind of tricky because the question is something like, what color signifies safety?
Right, and I got that mixed up.
Yeah, they go with blue, but green is for safety. It's got for like first aid stations, first aid kits.
That's why I got a 98% on the practice test, because of this question right here.
Yeah, and so that's why I kind of reiterated is that's the most commonly missed one. And so if you're looking at the wording on that, you got, if it's saying safety sign, what color are safety signs, it is blue. But if it says what color signifies safety, it's green. Then white is for the traffic flow or storage. This is the one that's on the CLT that everybody comes back saying, yeah, that was on there. Because I always mispronounce magenta. You know, that's one of those new wave colors. It wasn't in my crayon box, so I don't know what color the hell magenta is. Unless it's that purplish, pinkish thing that they're giving us for an example there. But that's for radiation. And so it can either be black on yellow or magenta on yellow. And they will have magenta on the test when you take it. And so radiation can be some wacky things like batteries or certain types of test equipment. So you will see radiation signs in your workplace. So that's the different colors. And there's at least 3 questions you're going to see about colors. This lift technique, this is how you're supposed to lift. And it asks questions about where's the power zone. And that's going to be between your shoulders and your knees.
Waist.
Oh, you're saying waist?
No, that's when when holding the box. I'm sorry.
Really, they want you to bend down, and you're going to lift with your legs, not your back.
Always lift with your legs.
Yeah, and they say that, but here is you a illustration of what in the hell they mean by lift with your legs. And so you're squatting down to get under the box, and then you're pulling it as close as you can to your chest. A 40-pound box that is extended out arm length
is double the size, right?
It becomes like a 200-pound box.
Right.
And so you got all of those injuries in your neck and your arms and your back. So you want to hold it as close as you can to your core. And then as you're standing up, you want to keep your back straight. And you want to, really, you want to try to find somebody to help you pick something up. You want to make it a team lift. And one of the terms that you'll hear when they talk about lifting is ergonomics. And in an ergonomic situation, you don't lift. That box is sitting on a shelf that's waist high. You just pull it towards you and get it into your core instead of bending over to pick it up.
Right.
So there's at least 2 or 3 questions about proper lifting techniques. The power zone is in there, keeping it close to your core and keeping your back straight. That's usually the gist of the 3 questions. And finding help if it's more than one person. There is an assorted mess of fire extinguisher questions. So in this particular picture here, it has A, B, C, D, and E. There is no E question on the test. It's A, B, C, and K are the different types. And they get A, B, C, D, and K. So this is the one that I send people to prepare them for the test. And so if it's a class A, it's to put out wood, paper, cloth, and plastic. This chart tells what's in that class A. And it's a halon extinguisher. It could have just water in it because it's just putting out paper, cloth, and wood. And the triangle and the square and the circle and the diamond, they don't ask those questions about the shapes of the identifiers. Everything that I've seen on the test and feedback is in this chart here. And so to put out a wood, paper, or this is the way the questions word, which type of fire extinguisher would you use to put out a fire that's wood, paper, cloth, and plastic? And so if you just said class A, that is right, but it's going to have an A and B, and then it'll say all the above or none of the above. So it's both types. An A and a B can put out those basic fires, right? So a B is for grease, oil, and chemicals. And up here it tells what it's got for, it's saying it's a water extinguisher. And so grease, oil, and chemicals, you can use a class AB because it's set up to put A and B, and then you can use an ABC. So if you've ever went into your place of work, or if you buy one for your house, the one that's under your kitchen sink, it's probably an ABC. And why wouldn't you want that? Because you can put out 3 different types of fires, right?
Right.
And so anytime that you have ABC as one of the answers, that's probably the answer they're looking for, because that's handling everything except a D and a K. And when we get down there, you'll see that those aren't very common unless you're in that particular industry that you would use those. So C is electrical cords, switches, and wiring. So it's like an arc or something that causes a short and the insulation on something starts melting. So you're going to use C. Or an AC or a BC. I don't think I'd want to be spraying water on an electrical fire, would you?
Nope.
Ouch. So a class D is combustible switches, wiring, metals, and iron. So this is what they're talking about that's super, super hot. It's melting metal. So you got some badass fire extinguisher that's going to put that down, right? And then a class K is the one that's always on there and always missed. So what I do is tell people that when they hear class K, think a kitchen, because it's for cooking, combustible vegetable or animal oils or fats. So that one for sure is on there, that class K, think a kitchen. And then normally it's going to be ABC when it's what type of fire extinguisher do you use? These are also fire extinguisher questions. And it's like, how do you use it? How do you put out a small fire? And
Start from the bottom, right?
It's what?
I mean, you just pretty much start from the bottom of it. I mean, that's what I read. You spray from the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. But this gets into even simpler stuff here. It's like pull the pin, inhale, exhale, pull the pin of the fire to unlock the lever. And then you aim low at the base of the fire.
Right.
Then you squeeze the lever and then you sweep it back and forth. So they're going to say in this type of a question, the acronym PASS sequence, what does the A stand for? And then they'll have something like airflow or ammonia, but it's AIM. And then, so that's how they'll dig a question out of that information, is they'll ask what the letters in the acronym mean. Okay, so that covers 4 and 5 highly questioned areas that you're going to have in the test. Okay, so we're at 12:38, and we've looked at 3 quizzes. I want to go. Let's see. Let me do this. Go on recording, and I want to start the slideshow. This is like a game show thing here. So this has got 2 different ways to earn points. One is find a misspelled word. The other one is to know what the agency is that they're talking about. And let me see if I'm sharing the right screen with you.
FAA.
Share to. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Developing and enforcing air transportation rules works to improve safety and efficiency in aviation. So FAA, who gave me that one?
Jeff.
Jeff.
Who?
Big Jeff.
Jeff.
Okay.
Responsibilities spelled wrong.
Hey, there you go. The reason I say that is I got this from the handout that the MSSC gave me, and I've sent them back copies of this saying, hey, these are your spelling errors. They never have updated this. So I tried to just show you that even they're human at that end, that they can make human errors. But there's some dingers in here. Radiation signs are this color.
Magenta over yellow.
Okay. Let's hear a voice I haven't heard in a while. Is Austin in here? You want to give me an answer? Okay. How about Ryan? You want to give me an answer?
Yellow, magenta, or black.
Good to go. All right. This one, the question is, must be clearly marked and not blocked as time is critical during an emergency.
Fire extinguisher. Oh, emergency exit.
Who said that?
Martell Stott. Ooh.
Yeah, exit doors and aisles. Man, there's a couple of them mixed up there. All right. Safety and first aid stations are this color.
Green.
Green.
Yeah.
And
Reinforcing that green color for you because that's going to catch you up on the test.
And I almost said blue. Oh my gosh.
Okay, who gave me green? I missed the quick draw on that.
I mean, I don't know.
Me.
Yeah. Let's
Me
give
too.
the cake.
Okay, I'll share that one. Let's maybe I can pick up the voices I haven't heard. I'm trying to get everybody an extra couple points here. U.S. Department of Transportation Administration primarily focused on safety regulations for large trucks and buses.
DOT.
Department of
The US
Transportation.
DOT.
I know, but on the road.
So did in there.
DOT.
True.
I haven't heard the right answer yet.
True.
U.S. administration primarily focused on safety regulations for large trucks and.
No, just roads, for roads, false.
It's us dots. U.S. dot.
It's
Okay.
FMCA, FMCSA.
Oh, who was that?
That was me, Ryan.
Who is it?
Ryan, I said FMCSA.
You are certainly correct, sir. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. This one gets people on the test too. So the large truck and buses, that's these guys that carry the weights around with them, and they got SUVs or pickup trucks that they unload and they weigh trucks and stuff on the side of the road. That's the dudes. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
And then US DOT is in charge of all transportation, right?
Yes. Yes, but this is just for the big guys.
And so what, the DOT officers are just the ground runners?
It's like a state trooper, you know, they're for the enforcement of the, regulations.
Regulations, yeah, okay.
It's fun to pull it, get pulled over.
I know, right? Make sure you
misspelled word.
FRA.
What's the misspelled word in this one?
Safety.
Safety.
Jacket.
Ain't that some scary stuff? Yeah. Who said FRA?
Me, FRA, Zach.
Okay, Zach. And that is the Federal Railroad Administration.
So he knows
So-
that you're
The chapter 4 is full of all of these different acronyms, these different agencies. Some of them you've heard before, like OSHA and EPA, maybe Department of Transportation. These are the oddball ones that you don't hear every day that's going to be on that test. So you want to review these different acronyms that are in chapter 4.
Is the next one OSHA? No.
Multiple
federal.
Department of Homeland
Is
Security.
that federal?
Homeland Security.
Supposed to be.
I see. I don't. I've sent these spelling errors to them, and they just don't see it. They go, "That looks like federal." People will say,
Federal?
Yeah, your brain knows that they mean federal, but they can't even find the correction when I underline it and I write out, "Hey, you misspelled federal," and I keep seeing the same misspelled stuff. Multiple federal agencies report through this department.
Department of
Department of Homeland Security.
Yes, the big monster of all of them. That is
You do realize that your slides are showing the answers, right?
Oh, you bet. Thank you, Miss Honesty. I shared the wrong damn screen.
Darn it! I wish you hadn't been on
That's why
it.
she's the leader of the class.
when somebody got those last two, I'm like, what the? Okay, so
Not all of them.
Honesty or us. We'll see what we get for the next.
I don't need to take that ethics class now.
So studies the cause of workplace injuries. This one is very important that you.
OSHA.
NIOSH.
Or DOSHA.
Yes.
NIOSH.
Because OSHA is one of the answers that they offer. It is NEOSHA.
NEOSHA.
So the difference, this one studies the causes of the injury. So OSHA takes a report of an accident. They go down and they investigate and they find the crap out of you, right?
Right.
They write up these regulations and say a ladder has to have 6 steps and 2 people have to hang on to it or whatever. But NIOSHA says, well, how did they fall off the ladder? Maybe the ladder is not the issue. Maybe it's, that they shouldn't be standing on the very top rung. So NIOSHA is the folks who do the studies. They're who come up with ways to be safer. And it's on there. It's written just like this. And OSHA is one of the answers. And that's the one you guys pick all the time. It's NIOSHA. So here's another one of those acronyms you never heard unless you saw the answer slide. Caution signs are this color.
Yellow.
Hello.
Yay.
Yellow. Because warning is orange.
Yes, thank you, Kate.
And foot protection is required, as just a reminder, that's the most needed or used PPE. Federal government body with primary responsibility for transportation safety regulations.
USDOT.
USDOT.
Yes, he was my first guy. I heard a US dot in the background.
Thank God. I think that was Jeff.
Wasn't he? Sound like he was I don't know all the voices yet, and I can't see the screen with your mouths moving. So somebody got to speak up and claim their points.
Yeah.
Here's
That's right. US
Give me more points. That was me then. No.
responsible for safety regulations for inland waters.
Clean Safe Water Act.
Clean safe water air.
Inland water carriers, shit that's floating.
Water something. I don't know the full, but if you gave me
Oh, Coast Guard.
that wasn't what I was thinking of.
So the Coast Guard is a member of Department of Transportation in peacetime. In wartime, they fall under Department of Defense. So these poor people have 2 bosses, depending on what their status is. And I just got, I'm a retired military person, so on military.com, I get updates all the time. Today, they voted to let them have a vote when it comes to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Before, they didn't even have a chair in the room. The Navy actually is the, if you want to call it, the mother service of the Marine Corps and the Coast Guard. And so the Navy was the one that sat in the room. Now the Coast Guard and Marines, they all have a seat too. But yeah, peacetime, they are responsible for safety regulations for all inland waterways.
Yeah, I'm a jarhead here. My stepdad was in the Navy, and he always say Marine Corps' Department of the Navy, and my response is always the men's department.
Oh, you cannot get in big trouble for that shit now. All right, so here we go. When using this emergency device, the operator should ensure that there is an escape route behind them.
Fire extinguisher.
We didn't mention that part in our little fire extinguisher adventure, but that is it. And that is one of the questions that is on there. Some people get that mixed up and put exit. Well, yeah, you do want to make sure there's an exit somewhere, but they're saying emergency device. An exit isn't an emergency device. Even a short fall from this can cause serious injury.
Ladder.
Yes, and scaffolding.
Scaffolding.
I was gonna say bar stool.
Yeah, that'll do. That's true. Okay, when fighting small fires, workers are encouraged to follow this sequence.
Pass.
Yes, pass.
Yes.
Pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Primary federal agency devoted to workplace safety.
OSHA?
OSHA.
Yes, that one is it. Yes, that's an old friend. People have heard that word. Safety signs are this color.
Blue.
Blue.
Well,
Yeah.
woo!
That is confusing as heck, ain't it?
Yeah, it is.
They should just make it all green and be happy.
Right.
They are required to create and maintain a safe, healthy workplace, including providing training, PPE, safety, hazardous communication. Who is this?
Isn't it like
Employers.
and
Employers.
also
Employers, yeah.
Show them my answer one. Am I still showing the answer one?
No.
No.
Employers.
that was pretty good that you got that.
Yeah.
This secures a trailer to the building and uses a system of lights to indicate that the trailer.
Scissor lift?
A dock plate?
A DOT dock bar.
I thought it was that scissor thing that connected the dock to the truck.
We did not reiterate this. We covered it in an earlier one. It is the dock lock.
Mm.
It's like there's J hooks under there, and that's the back bumper of the trailer. And it hydraulically pulls the trailer into the dock and keeps it there. And then you'll have a light on the inside that turns green saying that the dock is secured to the trailer.
Okay, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Can you use one of those scissor lifts and the dock lock at the same time?
No.
Usually if you use dock lock, it matches up to the door.
Okay.
This bumper is the same height. You only use that ramp or the scissor ramp whenever the trailer is too low or too high to use the dock.
Okay.
Or you could have an external dock where it's not a flush dock,
but it comes out
like a back porch when you have to have something to ramp it over to it.
Okay.
They have a strong vested interest in preserving a safe working environment and must keep their own work areas well organized, clean, and free of clutter.
Employees.
EPA.
EPA.
Employees.
Man.
You are the first line of defense to safety. That's last one.
EPA.
Oh, wow.
EPA.
Somebody took the Evelyn Wood speed reading course. I guess they don't even know what that is anymore. But
I mean,
yes, Environmental Protection Agency. Very good.
That must have been teaching Chong, huh?
Yeah, it does look like
Evelyn
that.
speed read course.
Okay.
Yeah, it does kind of look like their recreational thing. Okay, so that reinforced the areas of chapter 4 and chapter 3 in our activities. We saw 3 videos. If you want the lecture with the textbook where we go down all the terms and we go through, I'm going to post that recording for you too. I think when we come out here, I want to get you as much assignment work done as you can and earn as many points as you can and get you out of here as soon as we can. So lecture we'll do a couple times, but with 3 chapters, I just wanted to reiterate the high spots of what you're going to see in future test environments. Okay, just one other thing to cover here.